Sioux Empire Podcast, episode 113, Sioux Falls Pride, and The Color Out of Space.
A pathless wilderness, wild, rugged, that was South Dakota. A hardy frontier, far from the paths of civilization.
Why die on Mars when you can live in South Dakota?
Where fortune beckons with a glittering smile.
I was hauling pigs on the interstate. You were in a red car having a problem with your shirt.
And life hung on the quickness of a trigger finger.
Podcast Palooza.
The Sioux Empire Podcast.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Sioux Empire Podcast. I am your host, Robert Mehling, and this is the Sioux Empire Podcast, the quirky but harmless podcast that's all about Sioux Empire news, comedy, music, and culture. Joining us as always, and here to give us a sneak peek of the paranormal in his book club this week, Seth Glover.
It's a small piano that I play at the beginning before every episode. That's because I'm not trying to prove anything with my piano.
That's not a recording. Seth plays that every episode with a tiny invisible piano. It's pretty impressive. I don't know why we didn't bring it up more. I feel like we kind of buried the lead on that one. And also joining us is photographer extraordinaire Natasha Estes.
I have witnessed this piano that it's pretty cool.
Very nice. And also joining us is Adam Dale Jorgensen from Sioux Falls Pride.
Hello.
Hi, Adam.
Hi there.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having
You
me.
regret your life choices yet.
Well, on the way
You
here,
will.
yes.
You will.
What happened on the way here?
That's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile... but let's go ahead and jump right in and get into everyone's favorite segment, Seth's Book Club.
Seth's Book Club.
Seth's Book Club.
Seth's Book Club.
What's that sound? It's the sound of Seth's Sioux Empire Podcast bi-weekly book club. The books aren't about the Sioux Empire, but Seth reads them in the Sioux Empire.
So what you got for us this week?
Hey everybody. Once again, welcome to Seth's Short Stories, or Short Stories with Seth. That's basically what this segment has turned into. Seth's spooky short stories.
Ooh.
Add to the alliteration. Alright. So this is the first story from H.P. Lovecraft that I've ever read, and boy was this a good one. It's The Color Out of Space, and it's about this man, the surveyor, that's walking, and he comes across this very first he's in the town and he hears these townspeople speak of the strange days after he'd walked through that desolate area of
It's
forest.
basically a story about the consequences of fracking on groundwater.
Yeah, right. I was trying to think of a modern sort of correlation, because H.P. Lovecraft is known for his foresight of technologies and ways that people would communicate and things like that. This is Rob actually has something to say about this one, because this was the first H.P. Lovecraft story that you read.
I am quite familiar with this short story, yes.
Adam, was this the first H.P. Lovecraft story that you've ever read, or have you read this?
I have never read it. It's the first I've heard of this.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, let me...
Do you know who H.P. Lovecraft is?
I do not. I'm ashamed to say I do not.
That's okay. Like I said, this is the first story by him I've ever read, and if you are not a big reader, let me add to the pot by saying, in this book, at least with the print, it's only 30 pages long.
Oh.
Yeah, I read it last night in like an hour.
Mountains of Madness next week.
That's not true. It took me like 5 hours because I'm a slow reader. But it's a real page turner, because the way that he writes is just so vivid, and I love this story.
I think of it as like
to get
Poe
more into
Reloaded. Is
like
his
what
style.
Reloaded?
Edgar Allan Poe Reloaded.
Didn't
Because
he-
it's a lot of the flourish and language and stuff like that, but even in kind of different directions. And Lovecraft's big claim to fame is that he's the father of cosmic horror. Just like the universe does not love you. Just the whole thing is like big, scary, and empty, and there are terrifying things. The only thing protecting you is your inability to comprehend it. Blah.
Sadly, this book, it doesn't tell the year that it was written, so I'm not sure of that. But yeah, getting back to the story about this man walking through this desolate forest, and he starts talking to these townspeople about the strange days and the blasted health. And so he listens to this guy's story about that patch of land and how he had a friend that lived there back in the day. And then one day there was a meteorite that struck in front of his front yard, and they called it a globule, or a globule.
Globule.
I think it's, yeah, globule. And so it was like this meteorite ball that had this sort of like color that couldn't be explained. It was like no other color that they'd ever seen, and like multiple colors all at once. And so they pop this thing open, like they start, prying at it, like doing tests. That's another thing about this, is that H.P. Lovecraft goes into like real detail with like chemistry and like talking about different elements and processes for just testing these materials to see their what they react to and things like that. So it was really cool to like read like his kind of scientific, like...
Seriously, you'd really like Mountains of Madness.
Well, let me see. Is that one in here?
Sorry, I keep derailing you, but Lovecraft is like, I could go forever.
Oh God, I mean, oh yep, that's the first one in here. That's 107 pages, Rob. That's a little
but it's good.
That's like dedication. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For me it is. That's a few days of reading. So he hears a story about this man's old friend who used to live on that desolate spot of land, and so the meteorite strikes, and that patch of land where that struck, it didn't grow back correctly the next year. It was all dead. The plants had this grayish tint to them, and then the man's the friend told the man that his well, the water had been poisoned and tainted, and he needs to dig a new well. The man didn't listen by that time, and his wife went mad, and then his son went mad, and then his other
more than get mad, but we'll let you.
Children went missing, and eventually it was the family had completely died, and basically it was due to this sort of amorphous gaseous entity that was like a grayish, but sort of, I think he'd be air where is it where it's like all colors, like what would you call that? What
luminescent?
Is that? Luminescent, maybe.
I don't know.
Multicolored?
I thought it was like
Iridescent?
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
but
Lovecraft
is
is both famous and notorious for his verbosity. So, I mean, you're gonna just like Poe. Well, actually, much more than Poe. You're gonna run into a lot of words that you're gonna have to like look up.
Yes, exactly. That was what I liked about this. Is like every few sentences there was a word where I was like, "What the fuck?"
And the story was written in 1927.
1927. Very cool. Yeah, there's this one line in there where he called it a rainbow something cryptic. Yeah, I should have written that one down because that was a great line.
Like if it's about rainbows, I should know that.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking Pride Week here after the bi-weekly book club, I think. And this is, we got bi in the name.
Exactly.
LGB, we got the
it's
B.
all coalescing.
And the rainbow covered. Mm-hmm. Yes, coalescing.
It's a theme.
That's a Neil deGrasse Tyson word.
It was a totally planned theme.
Totally planned.
You guys are good at this. Yeah.
Totally planned. Yeah, as we saw last week or 2 weeks ago on the bi-weekly book club, there's a lot of planning that goes into this.
Yes, lots of forethought.
Don't listen to that one.
Please don't tell the listeners to not listen to the show.
But yeah, this is a really creepy tale, and like I did get kind of like unnerved, or it was unnerving to read late at night last night, when it just, it's so just juicy horror, man. This is like, I've been reading a lot of horror over the past year, and this is just,
if this is your first Lovecraft, you're hooked now.
It's meaty, man. It's just like all of it is just like, oh, go on.
Here's some stray observations on Lovecraft. Absolutely love his cosmic horror work and the Call of Cthulhu and the whole Cthulhu mythos that he has, like a whole basically campaign world where a lot of his stories take place and stuff. Just crazy stuff. I'm jealous of you, Seth, that you're just getting in the door here with him, because there's so many good stories and that you read them the first time and you're like, what the fuck? I also want to point out that this is a parallel I didn't think of, and I'm surprised I didn't until I Googled it here to look up that year, is The Color Out of Space is totally 1000% the inspiration for that film Annihilation with Natalie Portman or whatever. You can really, really tell the influence of Color of Space. And I wondered why it was so familiar but so weird, and it is totally well, obviously that's based on the novel Zone X, but now I'm okay, the novel Zone X is totally like a novelization of The Color Out of Space. And I didn't put that together before now, and it's kind of shaming me that I didn't make that connection before. But so if you want to know the trippy, existential, just bizarre, abstract stuff that Seth is talking about, if you want a visual representation of it, watch the trailer for Annihilation. And that'll give you an idea of what to expect when you're reading a H.P. Lovecraft story.
So this is what you mean by that verbosity, which I do love. There's just a line that I was thinking about. That alien and undimensioned rainbow of cryptic poison from the well, seething, feeling, lapping, reaching, scintillating, straining, and blindly bubbling in its cosmic and unrecognizable chromaticism. Yeah, it's dope. It's a fucking just vivid, colorful story that just, I don't know, man. It just makes you want to just fucking know this dude and be like, why did you write this?
As an author, he's hilarious too, because his intro to the world was he wrote that guy that's named Hugo, whatever, that is the guy that the Hugo Award is named for, that ran amazing stories back in the 20s. And how he sent his first submission is, he sent 5 stories. He said in his cover letter, he said, "These stories are too good for you. You will not publish them because they are vastly superior to anything you have. I've read your other writers. It's quaint that they try, but they're nothing compared to me. And if you do run, you are not going to, but if you do run one of these stories, you must write it completely and not alter even a single semicolon of the story." And he became one of the guy's most prolific writers because he's who is this asshole who thinks he's and then he dug into the stories and was holy shit.
Read that short story and you will know that, oh yeah, this guy has a reason to be that confident.
Lovecraft is a character, and his stuff is cool, super racist. That's the only other thing you gotta remember with Lovecraft is his other problematic stuff. But
honestly,
his stories are excellent.
Most of these stories that I'm reading, there's usually some racist,
that's
there's
true.
Usually some comment on the, so and so.
Because you've been working in the late 1800s, so everybody's been throwing in little Yeah,
there's always a little thing thrown in there of well, this is the world we live in.
Yep. That postmodern lens, you can't read it without a little bit of that grain of salt or that little footnote or asterisk next to it.
I am fine with people, not being as, openly conscious of empathy back in the day. I don't look at shit with, in high, things that have happened previous to the PC revolution and how could they? I better post this on Twitter and make a huff about it 40 years later. Because that's what the internet is for.
That's true. I'm really blowing the whole Lovecraft was racist thing. I'm really blowing that wide open with him having died in the 30s. So
yeah,
I'm really
good to call him out, Rob.
Yeah,
good to call him out. We better hold him accountable. Him and Frederick Douglass.
I hear he's doing great work right now.
He's doing good.
back.
Guess who's back? Back
Well,
again.
some would say he never left.
Wow. So anything else on the color of Out of Space that you'd like to share with us?
This one, man, I gotta tell you, you should read it, especially if you haven't read H.P. Lovecraft. I hadn't, and now I am a huge fan. Huge fan.
Yeah, and you haven't even gotten into the mythos and stuff yet. You just dipped your toe in the water.
Yep,
You're gonna go down a hole for a while on this.
Just dipping the toe in.
So, anyway, yeah. So check out Annihilation. Check out H.P. Lovecraft. Check out Color Out of Space. And, yeah. Time for a segue.
The Sioux Empire Podcast.
Not that button.
Your part has been replaced. We can always segue on a Rob screw-up.
Yeah. Those are the best segues. Anyway, Adam.
Yes.
Welcome to the Sioux Empire Podcast.
Hello.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Sioux Falls Pride? Why you're here? What's going on? What's the deal with this whole Pride thing?
Definitely, yeah. So we don't have anything going on at all. I'm just kidding. We have like 20 minutes. So Sioux Falls Pride, I guess to give you a little history behind it, I guess I could start with that. I feel like I never know where to start with this because there's so much that's going on. But it's been going on for about 19 years now. It started being planned by an organization called the Center for Equality, aka the Center for Alternative Lifestyles, aka many other names. We've switched it many times before my being a part of it. But they've been planning it for 19 years. It started with like 500 people. It's grown to around 9,000 in the last 5 years, which has been insane. I've been a part of it for the last 5 years. Mostly been doing marketing stuff until this year I became the president, which has been super fun to see. Our park festival, which is kind of our like flagship event, has about 90 vendors there.
Dang.
Wow.
Which I was telling people we need to stop, and then I just registered someone 5 minutes ago, and I'm like, okay, guys, we have more people now, so this is great. But it's really cool.
More the merrier.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we're at Terrace Park, June 16th for the main festival. We have a whole week of events that started actually yesterday. With our ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce, which was like really, I was actually like really humbling to see, like all these, there's like 50 people there, packed in this room, mostly like business owners or people that, you know, are influential.
The Chamber does a nice job on those ribbon cuttings, and they have a good turnout.
Yeah, it was good. People cried. It was awesome. Like, I kind of told my story and why I was involved, which I can kind of get to a little bit, and then Raina Parker, who's on our board, told her story and why it's important, and then this guy that we just met that day, who's on the board of the Chamber or something, was getting like choked up, and I was like, this is really cool. Like, I don't want to see people cry, but like, it's really cool to see people like get it and understand why the festival's so important and why it's not just a party and it's a place for people to come together and be who you are, regardless of who you are. You know, I even mentioned in there, like, if you're LGBTQ, if you're black, you're white, or a woman, or a Republican, or a Democrat, like, you're welcome here. We've never had to kick anybody out, so just come and be a nice person and have fun. Like, that's what all of our vendors have said in the past, that this is the happiest event they've ever been to.
Nice.
Which is really cool to see, and it's really, like, nice as the event planner. Like, good, nobody was a dick, so that's awesome.
That's always a plus.
Yeah, nobody was mean to you, you didn't, like, get a drink thrown in your face. It's perfect. But yeah, we have events. We have indie events starting on the 13th. We have a movie, Club David, called Zyla and Zoe. We have cabaret. We have karaoke. We are chalking the sidewalk in downtown Sioux Falls. We have Rainbow Con, which is really fun. We just started that this year. We have like a dozen bars on board that are doing deals. You get prizes. You can play bingo. You have to stop at like 9 different bars and get a drink at each of them. So I recommend pacing yourself if you're gonna do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because you can win. And I just found out this morning what our big prize is, so I'm telling you first.
Oh boy.
It's a cooler, but it's like a disco ball cooler.
Nice.
So it's real fabulous. You know, the biggest, gayest prize you can get. So that RainbowCon, June 16th, we actually have about 5 events on the 16th, which is fun.
Nice.
Stressful, it's fun. Starting with Drag Queen Story Time for the kids at the downtown library. It goes from 10 to 11-ish. We're actually reading John Oliver's book. Is it the Marlon Bundo book or something that kind of pokes fun at Mike Pence? So I thought that would be a perfect book to make it like just a little political and like teach people something. You know?
Good choice on the book.
I think it'll be fun. And I made sure it was child appropriate. I'm like, they don't like cuss in it, do they? They don't. It's good.
No, it's a very straight... It is actually a children's book.
It is. I was worried at first. I'm like, are we going to be, like, swearing at kids? But whatever. So we got that sorted out. Then our official after party is that night of the 16th as well. That's 21 plus. Then we have drag brunch, which is another first. And we're actually have like 5 or under 10 tickets left, last I checked.
Wow.
So we're almost sold out. People are excited about it. It's 21 plus, Icon. Food's made by MB Haskett, so you know it's going to be good. We're using Icon for the venue since MB Haskett is obviously pretty small.
Yeah.
So we're kind of working together to put this event on, and part of the proceeds actually benefits the Pride Festival.
Nice.
Which is really cool. So you get to have brunch and dance around with some drag queens and tip them and donate to a good cause, I guess.
Very nice.
It's a huge overview of everything that we're working on.
Yeah.
It's all planned by volunteers.
And that's amazing because, like you said, it's all volunteers, and then it's a week-long like thing. How do you keep a rein on that? My goodness, I can't. The logistics of just getting this podcast done like floor me. I can't imagine an entire festival with so many moving parts and, like you said, 90 vendors.
Yeah.
It's like good grief.
It's crazy, yeah. So that's one thing. When I took over this year, I found people that I knew could really do a really good job and kind of empowered them to take things on and do it. So I think being, like a leader or whatever, you really have to give people the chance to make something their own. And I think even with like this Rainbow Con is a perfect example. Like there's a guy who joined our committee who's never been involved before, and he had this idea, he ran with it and made it happen. He found sponsors, he got everything paid for, we had zero money put into it. He found all the bars downtown to be involved, they're all on board, they're super excited. So it's just finding those people that are really dedicated to the cause and letting them do it, and not hounding them for the details.
Sure.
So I think that's one thing that worked out really well this year.
Nice.
Which is really nice to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But otherwise, I'd lose my mind if I had to do everything.
Yeah.
If I had to do it all, I'd lose it. Yeah, no, I mainly handle like stuff in the park and vendors and getting sponsorship and fundraising, which is kind of a big deal on its own. But we have an entire team that does like volunteers, that does setup, everything.
Wow.
I love that, in the last 5 years of your recollection, are you working there, or did you go to it before those 5 years ago, or was that when you first went?
I first went probably 7 years ago. I don't know how old I was. I think I was still in high school.
Yeah.
But I went and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. And then when I moved to Sioux Falls, I was like looking to get involved somewhere. And then that's where I started volunteering, and then I saw the impact of the festival. I think, because I saw kids they were my age or younger, really having fun and being who they are, and being out in public, and growing up in a small town, I never had that, and coming out when I was 7, I definitely didn't have that. And my family was super supportive, which is
sure,
fantastic.
Yeah.
But definitely being in a rural town in South Dakota when you're gay and you're a teenager, people aren't the nicest to you. So it's nice being a part of something that gives people that opportunity.
Yeah, do you feel, that would be the stereotype for Sioux Falls, would be that it would be, this is deep red territory. Mm-hmm. Do you find, based on, maybe you've interacted with other communities that do this, do you find that it's tougher here? Do you think it's about the same as it is in most markets? What's kind of your impression on the local flavor that Sioux Falls adds to putting on a Pride Festival?
Yeah, I think our city in the last 5 years has really seen the importance of embracing this population, LGBTQ people, and they see, I think, the economic impact when you don't. Even recent cases like the Masterpiece Cake case where they sided with them, but in all actuality there's kind of a silver lining to it where they didn't,
It's extremely narrow.
Yeah, they didn't put the approval stamp on discrimination because that's still illegal.
Yep.
But I think there's a more nuanced explanation of this. But
yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely have seen people jump on board, be super supportive. Even Mike Huther, when he was mayor, was there every year when I was there. He did a proclamation, he hung out with his family. The Chamber of Commerce has even spoken out and said we need to embrace this population, and I think that's where
Absolutely.
We had such a huge support from them at our ribbon cutting. They let us do a rainbow ribbon, which is really cool.
I saw that.
I got to cut a rainbow
awesome.
ribbon, and I was like, this is fantastic. I never thought we would be here, especially with, I think South Dakota as a state appears to be very red, and I think Sioux Falls and even Rapid City, arguably, are the two kind of blue dots in there. That's not to say there's not people in between that are super supportive.
Sure.
Because I think those other areas are kind of overlooked. There's even towns, I think it was, where was it? It was an hour south somewhere. Can't remember the name of the town.
But not Vermilion, is it?
No.
Beersford?
Okay. We're just all going to start naming towns that are 1 hour
Canton.
south.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Elk Point.
No, isn't that north? Is that Point South?
Yankton.
I have no idea. Some town that's very small. They started, a community group for LGBT kids. So like, there's stuff popping up everywhere. And they didn't have the support of their community, but they just did it. And I think we're lucky in Sioux Falls that we do have that support, and we do have businesses that want to sign on. We've gotten random donations from companies that do construction and asphalt and paving. That are these like kind of companies you wouldn't expect to support a Pride Festival. And even for next year, we have a business who's interested in supporting it that makes tractors. Yeah. Like it's not like John Deere or some huge name like that, which would be super cool. But like just imagine like having a tractor at the park. Like that'd be so cool. And it'd be two kind of things that don't make a lot of sense, right? Like this kind of farming community, LGBT stuff kind of coming together, which I think is really South Dakota also.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that, it's always been a lot of fun and everybody's awesome to reach each other. And like you're saying, it is an event where you come together and it's not, it's not an out-of-control party. It's a community gathering. And growing up in rural South Dakota, in a small town in South Dakota, I definitely experienced the really intolerance of redneck South Dakota, and you come to Sioux Falls and you're not sure what to expect, and it's almost like I expected that it would be the same, but it's completely different in Sioux Falls, where it's a lot more open-minded people that are more accepting of everything, from LGBTQ community to anything. It's just Sioux Falls is so much more open than the rest of the state. Have you been to other Pride festivals like the Denver Pride Festival or anywhere else?
Yeah, I've been to like Minneapolis. I went to DC last year, which was a lot of fun. DC is huge. They even have a parade that goes like, I kid you not, like 12 hours.
Jeez.
Which is insane. I would never fly in Sioux Falls. It's like a tight 45 minutes and that's it here. Which I think next year, on the note of parades, we're working on putting one together. So I think it all just depends on like getting things approved and like street closures. But
sure,
that was one of like our biggest requests from people this year. But yeah, their prides, I think scale-wise, are much larger. And they have much more community involvement. I think there are different businesses that do their own like after parties, their own events, their own things, which we're seeing a lot of now. So I think we're on the way there. There's businesses that are like Bread and Circus that made their own t-shirts. Icon does their own after party, which is amazing. Like we promote all of those events. We make money on the events we do, but we also want people to know that there's more things out there to do besides the ones that benefit us, because I feel like everything benefits one another. Like the Icon show is like 18 plus, so obviously kids can't come to the ones that we do, like at Club David, because it's 21 plus. So we just encourage them to do that, go find each other. There's even like church services that people put on for Pride. It's really cool. Some really diverse events.
So there are definitely like, things where we're a smaller market here, less community involvement from other places that have more maybe of an establishment in their communities and cities. Crap, totally forgot what I was going to say. But when you've been to them in multiple places, so in your opinion, but the funness and the vibe is still the same as if you're in a big one. It's still,
I think so.
That friendly atmosphere of you're gonna meet a new friend probably.
I think it is a place to meet people, and I think our festival and like the theme of what we do is different from bigger cities like DC or even Minneapolis. Is that ours is very like focused on family, and it's not saying that theirs are like like smutty or whatever. Like they're all more progressive cities, so they can do different things, I feel. But Sioux Falls, we have a ton of things for family to do at the park, like our kids corner. We have, Annabelle's and Olivia's are one of our sponsors, but they don't have anything there that you couldn't see at a CVS, which is things that we ran into with issues before where people would be like, Annabelle's is a sponsor, like what are you going to do at the park? And I was like, well, you wait and see. Like there's nothing there. Like they might have condoms or sex education, but that's all very important, we feel. And people should have information they need to be safe.
Last week on the Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Go ahead.
Last week on the Sioux Empire Podcast, you heard the STDs are on the rise, so a safe sex education booth is I think always a good idea.
A very good idea.
Better than the anti-abortion bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, call back to the Brown County Fair.
We want to feed people accurate information.
Yeah.
And I do know that, crisis pregnancy centers don't entirely give you the accurate picture. Not to, name any specific people,
go on
but...
to a different subject, but...
Oh, no, I'm familiar with that subject also, with my paid job, what I do. But speaking of safe sex and stuff, we'll have different booths there that are doing testing for free.
That's
dope. So you could get tested there. I think it's just HIV testing because you can do rapidly. I think other stuff takes a few days to get back, and I think just obviously you don't want to handle that at the park.
Sure.
But we'll have that. We'll have free condoms. I think there's a company from Sioux City that's coming to give out condoms, lube, dental dams, which I'm hearing is a huge commodity for people. I'm not a lesbian, so I don't know how to use those or what they are, but they're important.
I definitely, I would make use of it, but I've never... I don't know what that is. And
Seth is I'm willing to learn.
I can come and get some. Yeah. But it is a very fascinating apparatus. I don't know exactly how it works, but yes. For people who need those, we have them. We have the tools to make you safe, make good choices, hopefully, and have a
apparatuses and sex go together like apple pie in America.
Yes.
American fireworks? I don't know.
But if you are 21, Club David has a bingo the night before, the Friday the 15th. There are donations from Annabelle's that are more adult. I would just leave it at that.
Get your whips and chains that night. And rope.
I can't speak to exactly what they are, but they could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Along those lines.
I don't know.
Good save.
So whatever you need, yeah.
Let's see. So you mentioned that, with the ribbon cutting and stuff like that, that it was a big, emotional moment for people. And that you mentioned that you have a story about, why you're so involved in the organization, why this is a big, passionate project for you. You want to get into that at
Sure.
all?
Yeah, I'll dive in. So what I shared there, I came out when I was super young, 7 years old. I even knew before then, but then I told my mom I was in tears, so, knew in my head that it was wrong. Even at 7, I feel in hindsight, kids should never feel that way, my opinion. But, I think I saw someone on TV or, a magazine or something, and I was like, oh my god, that's me. Totally gay. And then she's like, okay. I think at first she was kind of, not denying it, but just kind of all right, you're 7. I guess you'll figure your stuff out. And then, 17 years later, I did. This is definitely who I am. I always kind of had a pulse on who I was and what I wanted to be. Even in high school, one of our principals during a spirit day said that guys couldn't wear makeup, and we were like, actually, yes, we can. I would paint my fingernails and put on eyeliner, and you can suck it. So then we handled that, and then when I went to my first Pride Festival as a volunteer, I saw people that were younger than me just kind of having a great time, holding hands, just kind of loving each other, loving life. It was just really cool to see. And not seeing that growing up, it was just really a nice contrast and really kind of inspired me to get involved and grow it and increase what we offered to people so they could have those opportunities to kind of genuinely be happy in who they are. We've had people call us. We have a phone number that rings directly to my phone, so I talk to all kinds of people. So they'll call us and say, Sioux Falls is a safe place to live. Can I move my family there? I have a husband and 2 kids that we adopted. Are we gonna, legitimately, people are are we gonna get shot? Are people gonna shun us from the city? And I always tell them no. I'm Sioux Falls is a safe place for you. I'm there are obviously certain places or people that aren't gonna be great to you, but that's anywhere you go.
Yeah.
You could move to West Hollywood, really, because there's a ton of gay people, and someone's gonna say something negative to you someday.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. So that's unavoidable, and we have no guarantee that Sioux Falls is gonna be wonderful to gay people all the time, every day. But I always encourage them, to come, check it out, meet people. And I've even worked with, the CVB or the Convention Visitors Bureau on getting, LGBT people in their marketing. And they have helped us by promoting Pride and kind of encouraging people to come. And I think that draws people here. We've had friends that have moved here from, Florida that came here to live here because they saw our organization.
Nice.
They're like, oh, Sioux Falls must be a good place because they have this festival that's getting bigger. And I think they correlate that with being progressive and all those good things. So yeah, that's why I'm involved and why I've been involved for so long. For about 5 years-ish, I've been a part of growing it and met a lot of really awesome people. and learned a lot. We were a part of, the legislature a few years ago. Not a part of legislature, but we went up there and brought people to advocate for things. And we were a part of, getting HB 1008 defeated, which was one of the first really bad bathroom bills in South Dakota. So it was nice that we were able to kind of hold the governor accountable, as he was saying he's never met trans people.
Yeah.
And we were like, we have 2 of them here that would love to meet you. So we worked with a couple organizations, the ACLU being one of them, to get those people there to meet him. Because at first he denied our request and said through his assistant that he was too busy. So then we sent that, to the news, and we're like, the governor doesn't have 5 minutes to meet with his constituents, and he's going to sign this bill. Like, what the hell? And then within, the same day, they called saying it was, a mistake.
Yeah.
And we're like, yes, it was, but, we're glad they recognized that, and we're like, we will meet with you to hear your story and see why, he should veto this, and then he ultimately did.
Yeah.
Which is, awesome, right?
Which was a no-brainer, but amazing that it made it that far.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And even recently, similar bills were introduced, and they were shot down before they got there. Because Dugard was even I would veto them, stop it. But, which makes me a little nervous with, the impending, whoever the governor is.
Well, if it's Christie, I'm not completely satisfied with every stance that Billy has taken or not taken, but definitely Christie Gnome, fuck her.
Seth's completely impartial opinion about Billy Sutton.
Yes.
Unbiased.
I have no opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
But by the way, how are you feeling, Seth, about your boy Sutton now that you know who he's facing?
I think we have good odds. I think a man in South Dakota, I think more men are going to vote than women. So I think that on that, Billy's got a better chance. Mm-hmm. And Billy is the fresh young cowboy with a heroic story and, just a really cool story. And I hope that... I'm scared as fuck that, that's going to be another election, be as every election that I've actually voted in and cared about the person that I wanted to win didn't. So, I hope I don't pick another loser.
I think Gnome beat Jake Lee with her riding a horse and shooting, and then Jake Lee trying to awkwardly
Jake Lee's
match
a
her.
douche, and every commercial of his is awful, and I hate his face. And he can go fuck himself in his anti-marijuana fucking bullshit.
Yeah, and if you notice now that, sorry, I'm getting on a tangent, that now the Mehdi rape case all of a sudden is back in the news. It's now that we know he's not the future governor, suddenly the media is giving that more play.
Mehdi rape?
Oh, Google it. Seriously.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole we don't need to get down. But seriously, Google it.
Did Pepsi Cola dude talk about that?
Pepsi Cola dude.
South Dakota. Sorry.
No, not South Dakota.
Yeah, why the fuck? Oh, that fucker's marketing. Oh, he got me. He did it. All right. Sorry, derailed.
But anyway,
call us an Amtrak train in the eastern side of the state. We're derailed. Sorry, it's been happening a few more than once.
Jeez.
So this is what we do on the podcast. We go tangents and rabbit holes and whatnot. But thank you for bearing with us.
No problem. Yeah, it's good.
Let's see. So do you have just a personal favorite event that you'll be attending?
I actually, the strangest thing about me is we plan all these events and I'm a part of all of them, and I actually don't attend any of them aside from because I don't have time.
Sure.
And I want people to have fun. But I'll be at the festival for certain. And that's probably my favorite event because it's our biggest one. I think it has the biggest impact on people's lives.
Okay.
But that's, June 16th, 12 to 6, Terrace Park. It's free for everybody.
And we'll actually be putting this episode out a little bit early so that it actually plays a few days before before that. So you'll want to be sure and check that out at Terrace Park. So.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I'm excited for the festival. And there's some other announcements that we have coming next week that are kind of
very awesome.
Yeah. And we started a commercial today that'll air. It's airing on KDLT, whatever stations they have.
Oh,
so
okay.
we have a commercial on television. We have radio commercials. We have Spotify. We have
nice.
We're everywhere. Podcasts. We're all over the place.
On podcasts and everything.
Yes.
Woo!
Oh my.
Yay! Sorry, that was my obligatory soundboard use for this episode.
Nice.
I have to put that in. It's in my contract.
He bought a fancy new toy.
Yeah, I got a fancy new toy, and I have to justify the expense to my wife.
Absolutely.
It's like, see, I needed it. That episode would not have been complete without that applause right there.
Listen! I did it so fast, though. Last time I would have been fumbling around.
Yeah.
Solution. Solution in air quotes. I was lazy the first time and didn't put them on there, but that's what I meant, Rob.
So, that's very cool, and, yeah. So, I think this is probably a good time to go ahead and, segue into some shameless plugs.
The Sioux Empire Podcast proudly presents this week's Shameless Plugs.
Now, I realize that's basically what we just did for you with the... but,
the whole time.
like, specifically, is there a website and social media that people can follow for, like, the up-to-date events on what's going on, things like that?
Or any, like, charities or ways that they can help, like, when it's not the Pride Festival in the community.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, they can learn more about all of our events on SiouxFallsPride.org. You can also go to Sioux Falls Pride on Facebook and Instagram. You can email us if you have questions. It's on our website. Yeah, I'd say for things to get involved with during the year, definitely stay tuned for things that we're doing, because I think we're planning on doing more things throughout the year next year. But yeah, work with organizations that are making a difference in town, you know, like the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, some of those progressive organizations, you know, Feeding South Dakota, all these other great things that impact all of us, whether it's directly in a roundabout way. I think just do what you can to support people that are making the world a better place. It's like a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. Anything else, you know, you got a side band or any other thing you want to promote? This is your chance. You're on the soapbox.
I can do whatever I want.
You got a YouTube channel?
Anything.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We do have a YouTube channel, actually. I didn't know this until we hired an intern. We hired an intern for the summer. So she was like, do you know you have a YouTube page? And I was like, oh. So all of our commercials are going to be on there, in addition to our Facebook page. You know, we did a really fun ad that illustrates that Sioux Falls Pride is for everyone. So we have literally somebody from every walk of life in the video, which is really, really nice to see. You have someone speaking Spanish, someone doing sign language.
Oh, cool.
You have women, men, Republicans, like, everybody's in it. So just watch out for that. It's like a 30-second video. I narrate it, so just, like, listen for my gay-ass voice. You'll hear me on TV. It'll be great.
He's doing his best Morgan Freeman through the whole thing.
We're here talking about... That's a bad Morgan Freeman. Yeah, I think, just go to all of our events, honestly. Like, they all help us. We benefit the community. We do other things throughout the year, which escaped my brain until now. We have a volunteer on our board that goes, like, across the state and educates people on different things related to LGBTQ whatever. Like, sex education, history, policies, things like that. So we fund her travel. And, like, whatever expenses are needed with that. If it's, like, supplies or presentations or whatever... we send her out and do those things, some more educational focused, which is necessary. Because not many people know about LGBT history at all.
Sure.
Like, where Pride festivals came from, which is the Stonewall riots. Which actually was a reaction to police brutality, but it's kind of evolved.
It has grown a lot and changed since then. But yeah, I would say the Stonewall riots, and then... What was that one on the West Coast that was kind of comparable? Sorry, I can get into history rabbit holes so bad. History nerd.
Yes.
Let's see. So yeah, I'm sorry. Continue if you've got any other plugs there.
A couple more plugs, yeah. Definitely come to our Sioux Falls Pride after party. We have VIP tickets, $20. General admission, $10. You get to meet the queens. We have Jaden Dior Fierce from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 7. She'll be there dancing and stuff. And then Dean and Cass, who's always also a huge, like, performer. Like, just, like, flips and, like, does all kinds of crazy shit. And then Demita Sanchez, who's actually, a lot of our marketing is her, like, eating something, which is kind of funny. Like, the poster has her, like, with McDonald's, and she's, like, posing with it. So it's super cool, and they're all really great performers. They'll dance, they'll flip, they'll do the splits, whatever. Bring your money to tip them. It takes a lot of money to look that cheap. Their words, not mine. I think they look beautiful. But yeah, come down and support those events and meet people and learn more and get, I think, exposed, right? The biggest thing about Pride with us is visibility. Like, go to places you wouldn't normally go to or would normally go to. Like, go to restaurants that, whatever. You know, like, we don't have many gay bars, I guess, quote, in town, besides Club David, I suppose. But just go wherever you want. Be who you are. Wherever you are.
Sounds good. Let's see. Seth, do you have anything this week that you'd like to shamelessly plug?
I would like to shamelessly plug Sioux Falls Pride Week. Adam, thank you for talking about that and letting us hear about the awesome history of that in Sioux Falls. I would like to plug Raspberry Pi and Linux and nerdy computer shit that I've just been doing some useless stuff just to kind of hone my skills and kind of automate some fun shit, and I made a little humidity and temperature sensor that reads every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, and got that automated so it throws it into a file, and just so that I can not look at that data ever and just be like, I made this, but I don't use the data. Creative little networking, electronics, fun little hobby activities, stuff like that. Like with the Sioux Falls Pride, maybe try something new that you're not used to, and expand your horizons. And I love that Raspberry Pi. It makes it really easy to do that.
They are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Natasha, do you have any?
I'll also plug the Pride Week thing and apartment cleaning.
I should be plugging apartment cleaning. Man, I need to do an overhaul. I'm gonna totally rearrange this place. That's a tangent. I'm sorry. You're still doing your shameless plug.
No, I was done. That's it.
Okay, fair enough.
This weekend is apartment cleaning. Excuse me. So maybe I should have plugged it too.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Let's see. So this week I am going to shamelessly plug. As always, I'll shamelessly plug the Sioux Empire Podcast and the SiouxEmpire.com and all of our podcasts. Dresh Code is doing fantastic, super popular, fucking hilarious. If you want to laugh your ass off through the whole hour just of randomness talking about, especially inside track stuff on music, Dresh Code is really fun. Macabre Grimoire is still a lot of fun. I'm getting a lot of great feedback on that one. People really love the paranormal and the supernatural investigations we've been doing. And as, of course, the Sioux Empire Podcast crew here. Yeah! And then, of course, we always shamelessly plug SuperCon coming up here. Be sure to get your tickets and to stay tuned for more details on that. But my main shameless plug this week is going to be for Mehling Custom Creations. This is my sister-in-law. She does these tumblers you might have seen in the last few weeks. This coffee thermos thing that I've been drinking out of that's Doctor Who themed, pretty cool, was a gift from her. And she makes these for a business, and they're really, really cool. You can get them customized with whatever you want. And I made this hot coffee for myself at about 8 a.m. It is 12:40 p.m. right now on this day, and it is still blazing hot inside of this thing. I'm still got to be careful because I'm going to burn my mouth on it. So be sure to check out Mehling Custom Creations. That's my shameless plug for this week. So, alrighty, Adam, thank you so much for coming this week. We wish you and the whole crew at Sioux Falls Pride all the best, and have a wonderful, safe, and awesome Pride Week.
Thank you. We look forward to it.
And like I said, if you're thrown off by the release schedule on this episode did come out early so that you can be aware of all the events going on Pride Week, especially that weekend with the event in the park and stuff. And we will see you all next week, which hopefully, a special announcement there. This is going to be an episode next week that's on location at Sanaa's Gourmet downtown. She is going to be giving us a world food tour kind of thing, and she will be our guest for the next episode. Just a FYI, that is hopefully what's going to happen. She is in Syria visiting family right now, so assuming she gets back safely and that travel arrangements and everything go as planned.
Travel from Syria is tough.
It can be a little unpredictable, so otherwise we'll postpone that, but hopefully we will be joined by Sanaa on the next episode of the Sioux Empire Podcast. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Be nice.